Imagine any object around you coming to life through 3D animation. This was far from Pixar's dream when it was first started as a company in 1986. A lot of people are more familiar with their recent works, but not where the company came from. They have a deeper history than one would think for only being in the animation business for such a short time. Today, I'm going to go over some of their history and tell you a little bit more about the company before they animated movies and during their animation period. I'm going to start by taking a look at how they were started. They were founded in 1979 as the Graphics Group, which was a computer hardware division of Lucasfilm, owned by George Lucas. Ed Catmull was the vice president of Graphics Division of Lucasfilms, and here he is. In 1986, he approached Steve Jobs about acquiring the division from Lucasfilm. Steve Jobs, being the talker that he was, decided he didn't want to pay George Lucas's asking price of $100 million, and he talked them down to a nice $5 million deal, and spontaneously named his newly acquired company Pixar, and Pixar was then born. Initially, Pixar was a computer hardware company whose core product was the Pixar imaging computer, which you can see here. And it was a computer that was primarily sold to high-end visualization markets, such as the medical community, so they could use it for x-rays, and they did 3D models of hands. As poor sales of this computer threatened to put him out of business with his hardware, the animation department stepped in, and they started producing commercials for outside companies such as Tropicana, and they also made a few short films for Sesame Street. In 1990, Steve Jobs sold the hardware division of Pixar to Viacom Systems for $2 million. In 1991, Pixar made their biggest deal with Disney for $26 million, and that included 3 computer animation films that Pixar was supposed to produce for Disney. The first one was Toy Story, the second one they produced was A Bug's Life, and the third one was Monsters Incorporated. They also produced Toy Story 2 in this time period, but Disney wanted that to be a straight-to-DVD release and didn't count that as their 3-movie deal. As late as 1994, Jobs considered selling Pixar to other companies because production wasn't coming along fast enough for the company, and he was having to put a lot of his own money into the company to keep it afloat, because it took so long for the company to actually produce their first movie. He had to fund it himself. After confirming in 1995 that Disney would distribute Toy Story for the holiday release, Steve decided that he would keep the company and give it a chance. During the production of Toy Story 2, however, still during their 3-movie deal, Disney and Pixar came upon some disagreements of the intellectual rights of the movies they were producing. Disney wanted to make more money by having sequels produced, and Pixar didn't want to go that route right away. In 2004, the two companies started to work on their partnership by talking out a new agreement for both of them to be equally happy. Finally, January 24th, 2006, Disney announced that it had agreed to purchase Pixar for approximately $7.4 billion in an all-stock deal that made Steve Jobs the largest shareholder in the Disney company. The terms of the deal were put into place to ensure that Pixar would remain its own entity, separate from the Disney Corporation, and be able to act on their own and create the movies that they wanted to make. The Pixar name was also guaranteed to continue without Disney's name taking over, and they were allowed to stay in their current location in Emeryville, California. During this time, they were producing a movie called Cars, and these are the 2 main characters, Lightning McQueen and Mater. And they produced this movie, and it came out in 2006, right when this new deal was being arranged. On April 20th of 2010, Pixar opened a second studio in Canada and announced that it would be handling the majority of their short films from now on. As you can see, this has been a brief look into Pixar's past. They started as a graphic design and hardware company, and they moved on out of necessity to perform animation movies to make money and hold revenue.